is Lady T, speaker, trainer, and co-author of the book, Mom Entrepreneur Extraordinaire. I recently received an email from a young mother who was really upset about the fact that she was pregnant again. She said this is the third baby. The other two are really young, and she felt so bad about herself. And I emailed her back and said I was going to create a video for her. Instead of just answering her, I would do a video, and not just for her, but for so many of us mothers who feel the same way. Who, if you have more than 2 children, if you have 3 children or more, you know the way society feels about you. Our society, even though we say that we respect women and we say that we love children, we really don't. What we respect in our culture is money and power, and that's it. And so many times mothers feel put down upon. They feel bad about themselves. Even though they enjoy the children, they still take on the culture. But you have to recognize the power of motherhood. You have to see yourself as being this awesome person, this awesome human being once you start giving birth. And even the more children you give birth to, they awaken you to become this better person. You get superpowers when you become a mom. Superpowers, yes. Superpowers like when you have that child, that first pregnancy, all of a sudden you have this intuition like never before. You have this maternal instinct that develops and grows in you that allows you to connect with the baby. And so what we know is that the baby communicates with you and you're communicating with it all the time, even in the womb. The baby is sitting in this amniotic fluid, and this amniotic fluid is loaded with vitamins and minerals have electrolytes. It has this electrical charge to it. We call it electrolytes. And so the baby is swimming in your electrical energy. The baby is swimming in your emotions, your sadness, your joy. The baby can feel you. It can feel you without words. It can feel your experiences. The baby's heart is beating, and that heartbeat is communicating with you, and you're communicating with it. So the baby will say to you, I need more calcium. And you'll say, I need a milkshake. The baby will say to you, I need more vitamin A. And you'll say, I'm having a craving for cantaloupe. Because the baby is speaking to you. You can hear it. Even when it's out of the womb, you still have that connection where you can tell, you can feel what the baby needs, and it can feel you. I was always fascinated and frustrated by the fact that no matter how deep a sleep that baby was in, if I got up out the bed, that child would always wake up within 3 to 7 minutes. Sometimes it was a deep sleep, it would take them 10 minutes to wake up. But that child always knew when I was not there in the room. Just knowing, just instinctively knowing. My children maintain that connection with me, that ability to know when I was gone, when I wasn't there in the room, up until they were, all of them, until they were at least 2 or 3 years old, almost 3 years old. It didn't matter how I creeped, crawl, when you have to slither out of the bed and turn over silently and ooze yourself out, didn't matter. They still could spot me. Yes, your instincts, your superhuman power of instinctively knowing that child is on fire. I remember being pregnant with that firstborn child, and I was standing around at choir rehearsal with a bunch of friends. Not that I could sing. And one friend was sitting there playing the piano. We were all standing there talking, and then at one point, the guy started just kind of playing around on the piano, and the baby in my womb responded. Once he stopped playing, I said, do it again in a few minutes. I want to see something. And so we all talked some more and went on with our conversation. And then, 15, 20 minutes later, he just kind of played around on the piano again, and the baby did it again. I can't even describe the feeling. It wasn't that he jumped or I can't even describe the feeling. It was almost like he put his ear to the womb. He just had this reaction, and instinctively I knew that baby, that child in my womb, was musical. Even though I have no musical talent whatsoever. Ironically, while I was pregnant with that child, I had this urge to join the choir, to interact with singers. I was surrounded by musical people, and it's almost as if that baby was guiding me in that direction. I also noticed that once he was born, 18 months, 20 months, 24 months, he would always talk in the pitch of other people. Like, for instance, I remember a couple of my friends that were keeping him. They babysat for me. And he came back and he was speaking in their tone, even though he was only 17, 18 months old. He went down to my mother-in-law's house and she kept him once, and he came back talking in her tone. And so I pondered those things in my heart, and it made me aware of what I felt when I was pregnant with him. And I just remembered, I mentioned it to my husband. My husband found him a piano player by the time he was 7. And today he's a classically trained pianist who loves jazz, who writes Christian rap. He is an awesome musician. He takes care of himself. That is his career. He makes money even while he's in college, majoring in music. He plays for theaters. He plays in orchestras. He is an awesome musician. So you have this instinct, this knowing, this intuition that you must have when you are birthing a baby. The baby births that in you. Your other superhuman, supernatural, superhero power is this heart of compassion. Remember before you had children, you used to say things like, oh, I would never do that. You see snotty-nosed kids or dirty children, you say, I would never, ever let my children go out like that. Oh, I couldn't do that. Why do parents do that? But then you have children and you realize, no matter how many times you wipe their noses or how many times you wipe them clean, some kind of way, they always get dirty. And so you realize once you have your own children that you don't know everything. And that gives you this heart of compassion. So now when you hear a baby crying in the grocery store, whereas before you used to be irritated by it, now you feel for the mother. Now you understand that she's not a horrible mother. Babies cry. That's what they do. The mother who is just trying to get groceries for the week, and here is baby Johnny who has poop up his back and has, wants to be fed right now, and the other 2 children are tired and bored. You realize the poor mother, you have this compassion, you extend yourself. I'm in the airport and I see women struggling with the stroller and the bag and the babies and the toddlers. I always say to them, go to the bathroom, let me take care of your child. And in our culture, we don't do that. We don't like people to help us. We think we have to do it ourselves. We still have this Lone Ranger mentality. I have to do it myself. I got it. And so it's really difficult for women to accept help from others. And I have to tell them, I have 5 children. Please let me help you. That heart of compassion is a gift. It's a gift that we have, and we need to share it. That other superhero gift that you get as a mom is you get an eye. You get a different perspective. You can see things that you couldn't see before. And so when you tag that along with your heart of compassion, you can look around and go, wait a minute, this isn't right. You realize that certain injustices that are going on, whereas before you were able to look at the news and just bypass it, look at the news and eat your Cheerios and keep going because you had a date and you were going out. Now you can't let it go. Now it opens up your eyes because you realize that could be my child. Wait a minute, that could be my household. And so your heart of compassion and your eye of perspective now changes. You also get a new perspective of even the way we dress and the news on television, our clothes that we wear. You realize that showing every curve on your body isn't sexy. It's selling yourself short. They design clothes that shows all your cleavage, shows your stomach, shows all your legs, put you in heels so that your butt toots out. They do all of that for their pleasure. It has nothing to do with how sexy you are. It's really so they can get the tantalizing, pleasing visualizations. When you have children, all of a sudden you realize something's wrong with that. Now, don't get me wrong. Some women never wake up to their superpowers of motherhood. They never become alert. They still dress like that. Even though they're extremely overweight, even obese, they still bubble out and puff out the sides, and they still show off cleavage and cellulite and all of that because they're unconscious. But when you become conscious, when you wake up to your powers, you realize you've been programmed. You've been hoodwinked. You've been bamboozled. You've been tricked. You've been tricked. We've been tricked. We've been tricked. And you value yourself. That's the other superhero power that you have. You get a value. You recognize that you are so important. When you have children, when you have a baby, you start looking at life differently and looking at your life in particular with value. You recognize that if something happened to you, who's going to take care of the children? And so now you put on the seatbelt, whereas before you just hop in your car and go. Now you think twice before you go running in the park at night, because you know that the lack of your presence will devastate a child. The fifth superhero power that you get as a mother is you become this awesome multitasking diva. You can juggle it all like never before. You're on the phone, you're stirring cake batter, you have the baby tied to your waist in a little wrappy, right? The kids come in, they're soaking wet from the rain, you have them stripped naked, take the clothes, put it in the wash, take care of all of that, put them off, put them in a tub. All the while you're on the phone, the other person on the other end doesn't even have a clue as to what just took place. But I'll never forget the time that I came to the realization. I was laying down, I was half asleep, I was nursing one baby, and the toddler was next to me, and the 4-year-old was sitting there reading his school lesson, and the other ones was in the back playing around and making noise. And so I'm listening to this one read. I'm correcting the behavior in the back room. Don't do that. Don't play with that. I can hear you. All the while I'm taking a nap, growing the baby, feed the baby, taking care of. It's amazing what we can do. So don't ever let anyone tell you that having children is wrong. Don't let anyone tell you that having children, like I used to hear, that it'll tear down your body. You can't have all those babies. That'll mess you up internally. That'll just tear you down. Having babies make you stronger. Having children makes you better. You are in complete alignment with the laws of the universe. Everything on earth reproduces and grows and develops an offspring. Everything except for rocks. That baby you think you're giving birth to is really giving birth to you. Enjoy those superpowers. Grow them, hone them, perfect them. They're given to you and birthed to you by your own child. This is Lady T. I hope this has encouraged you and inspired you, and I hope that you're willing to walk in your superpowers.